everyone, me again. Today I wanted to show you how I cover the skin redness and hyperpigmentation that I have using drugstore makeup products. I have had skin redness for as long as I can remember, so I've definitely picked up a few tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, and I really wanted to share them all with you. I'm not going to ramble on too much, I'm just going to jump straight into it. First, I'm just tying up these bits of hair. They used to be fringe, but now I'm growing them out and they just kind of get in the way whenever I do my makeup. So one of the first things you'll want to do is just kind of look at your face and just figure out how much redness there is. So for me, I can see that most of it is just along my jaw here and my cheeks as well, and there's your blemish here and there. So I'm going to be targeting those specific areas, but if you've got redness all over your face, then I would definitely suggest using a colour correcting primer. I've got this one from Primark, which is really nice to use. It was very affordable, I think it was £5, and it's basically just a primer with a bit of a green tint to it like this one, and that will just help kind of balance out your face before foundation. However, because my redness is just in a few certain areas, I prefer to just target those specific parts of my face. So I go in with a normal primer. At the moment I'm really loving the NYX Born to Glow Illuminating Primer. I've got really dry skin, and so illuminating primers like this one just help to brighten it up quite a bit and help my foundation go on a lot better. So I start out with this, and then I go in with a targeted colour corrector. So I have this little palette from NYX here. You can see there are some colours that I use under my eyes, and then there's the green ones that I use on areas of redness, which I'm just going to do right now. I really like using my fingers with this product because I find it just kind of warms it up a bit. So I'm just going to dab this on any areas of redness and then just blend it out. So I just put a really thin layer of concealer on the areas that I need. I never build it up too much because that's when things can start to look a little bit ashy, but just a thin layer like this makes all the difference, and it really helps me to apply less foundation and concealer later on. So now that that's done, I can just go straight in with foundation, and one of my favourite foundations at the moment is the Maybelline Dream Satin Foundation. I have a dedicated review on this if you're interested. I actually have reviews on a lot of the products that I'm using today, so I'll leave them all in the description box for you. But this is a really nice one to use at this time of year because it's not too heavy, it's not too matte, and as I said before, my skin is quite dry at the moment, so this has been really nice to use. It's still got quite a good medium buildable coverage, which is exactly what you need for redness. So I start off with a really small amount, maybe about half a pump, and then I just start to use that where I need it, and if I do need more then I can go back for more later. But the brush that I use might surprise you because it looks really small. This is the Real Techniques setting brush, and then the thing I like to do is just dab it directly in the product on the back of my hand, make sure I don't pick up too much, and then I just start to dab it starting on the areas of redness and pigmentation. So I'll just pat this product quite generously on the areas that look quite flushed, and then on the areas that need a bit less cover, I'll just kind of feather out what's left behind on the brush. And this is why I really love using this brush, because it just allows you to be extra precise with where you're putting the product. And now I'm just going to go in with a little bit more of the foundation, just another really small amount. As you can see, this is about half a pump again, and I'm just going to just build it up over the areas where I need it, just using the same technique with the same brush that I was using before. So once again, I am just dabbing it just where I can see the redness, and then I start to sort of buff it outwards. And this way it does a really good job of just making sure that all the pigment kind of goes where you need it the most. So that's it for foundation. I'm going to move on to concealer now, and I am loving this one from NYX. I promise this video is not sponsored by NYX. I've just been trying a lot of their base products recently, but this is their HD Studio Concealer in CW00 Alabaster, and I really like this because it's that kind of texture that you can put underneath your eyes but also just over areas of redness and on spots. It's not too matte and it's not too creamy, so you can kind of put it everywhere and it just works as an all-round formula. So I'm going to use some of this. I just like to take it on the back of my hand, and I do use quite a generous amount of concealer, and then I just take a damp makeup sponge. This one is the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. That's the one that I really like to use, but obviously you can use the Beauty Blender or any other sponge that you like. Just make sure that it's quite damp and that you can just kind of squeeze it, and that just helps to sort of blend in the product and mesh it into the skin a bit more. So I take this and then I just sort of dip the pointed end directly into the concealer, and then I just sort of put it where I need it. The other thing I like about this concealer as well is that it's quite yellow toned, which is another really good way to help counteract discoloration. So if you've got quite a lot of redness to your skin, just look for base products that have a sort of yellowy undertone to them, and you will notice that it looks really, really good on your skin. So as you can see, I'm just kind of focusing it in this sort of pattern. It's like a T shape because that's where the hyperpigmentation is on my face. And then I'm doing a similar thing on the other side. So as you can see on this side, I tend to focus it right here because there's a big patch of just skin redness right here, and then I sort of fuse it up and take it to this bit where there's another sort of patch of discoloration. So this bit is really kind of tailored to where my individual hyperpigmentation is and where the worst parts of it are. And of course I'm going to put some of this concealer down my nose and also underneath my eyes as well, just to lift up my face. So that has mostly evened things out at this point, but I've still got a few very visible spots. So I'm just taking that same NYX concealer again on the back of my hand, but this time I'm going in with a really fine, precise brush. So this brush is designed for gel eyeliner, but I actually use this for my spots, so I just dip it directly in the product. And then I just use it to pinpoint my blemishes. And then I'll just tap in the product with my finger. And if it's not quite covered up with the first layer, I will again just keep layering it until I've got the coverage I want. So all my cream products are on my face now, but before I go in with my setting powder just to lock everything into place, I like to do my eyeshadow. And the reason I do that is because it gives time for all the cream products to kind of settle by themselves. And that just means that I'm not taking away the coverage when I'm tapping it with my powder. So I'm just going to do my eyeshadow and then I will be right back. So as you can see, my eyeshadow is now done and I am ready to set my face with powder just to stop it moving around and creasing during the day. So I'm going to take my MUA transparent pressed powder and I'm just going to put this underneath my eyes and down my T-zone because this is a really bud-proof powder that just stops anything moving. And I'm also going to show you another little trick I do if I haven't got quite enough coverage from all my liquid products. So what I do is I go over the top of areas that are still looking a little bit on the red side with some mineral powder. So this one is from Primark. I've actually reviewed this on my channel. I really like this over the top of liquid foundation. It's got a bit of tint to it, so it just gives that nice extra bit of coverage. I'm just taking that on a really big fluffy powder brush and I'm just putting that where I need it. So again, I am just focusing this on my jaw and around my cheek area. That's just where I personally get the most pigmentation. I'm also just bringing this down my neck as well. So at this point my skin tone is definitely a lot more even, but I still really want to just add a bit of definition back into my face. So to do that I usually use bronzer or contour. Today I'm actually going to use both just to show you how I do it. So to bronze I'm going to be using this one from Maybelline. This is in the shade Blondes. It's got this nice matte bronze here on the side that I'm just going to dab into a blusher brush. I'm really careful not to pick up too much product because I'm so pale. And then I'm just going to apply it very lightly onto my skin, just on the kind of outer free. So I'm taking it on the jaw, down my neck, on my cheekbones, and on my forehead. So I just apply a little bit just to add a bit of definition, and then for more precise carving out of the cheekbones I go in with a contour product. So you might notice that this actually isn't a contour product, it's an eyeshadow, and that's because I haven't yet found a dedicated high street contour powder that is a good shade for me because they're all very dark and very orange. So this is the shade Hung Up by Makeup Revolution. It's a matte kind of taupe colour, and that is the perfect shade to contour with when you're as pale as me. So I'm just going to put this with a Real Techniques contour brush and just apply a really light amount just on the cheekbones right here. Just really focusing that on the edge, but being a lot more precise than I was with the bronzer. Some on the jaw as well. Next I'm going to add some blush, and I used to be really scared of blush because I was so kind of obsessed with taking the redness out of my skin that I didn't want to add any back into my face by using a very pink blusher. However, since then I've kind of learned that adding a little bit back in once you've counteracted the redness on most of your face actually looks really, really flattering. Or you could just pick a shade that doesn't have pink tones in it, so like a more sort of orangey based or brown sort of blusher, like closer to a bronzer in colour really. Something like that works really well if you've got a lot of skin redness. But one product that I actually really like to apply that isn't too pink or too red at all is this Max Factor blush. This is my favourite blush formula, I think. This is one of their cream puff blushes, and this is in the shade Nude Mauve. I absolutely adore this formula. It's just a really natural colour. So I'm just going to use this with a sculpted angle brush from B at Superdrug, and I'm just going to tap lightly into the product, make sure I've not got any excess on the brush. And I'm just going to kind of do an extra contour, so it's just going to be on the apples of my cheeks and then going up my cheekbones like this. So this is just another way that I shape my face. I really like this amount of product, but if you ever look at your face and think that you've gone a bit overboard, either with the bronzer, the blush, the contour, anything like that, just get the brush that you used to powder your face and just go around the edges where you think you've put on too much product, and then go over the top of it, and this really, really softens it down. Just a little trick there in case you go overboard. And the next thing that I'm going to do is put on some highlighter. This is my favourite at this time of year. This is one of the Makeup Revolution Vivid Baked Highlighters, and this is in the shade Everglow Lights. As you can see, it is a pure white, which makes it absolutely perfect for my super pale face. And I just take a brush like this. This is the Real Techniques Duo Fibre Contour Brush. I like this because it's got that kind of stippled effect, so it just stops you going too overboard. I just swirl it in the product, tap off the excess, and then I start at the top of my cheekbones. Go underneath the eyebrow, above the eyebrow, underneath the cheekbone. And whatever's left on my brush, I just take down my nose as well. And then I usually just build it up a little bit right at the edge of my cheeks, just on the outer parts of my face, and just really, really buff it in. Okay, so I've just done my eyebrows and my lips off camera, and now that all of my makeup is done, I can set it into place using some setting spray. This one is from Makeup Revolution. This is their Pro Fix. And this is it. This is the finished makeup look. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you found this useful if you have skin redness. If you did like this video, then give it a thumbs up. It really helps out my channel. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. I make a new video every Sunday at 9 AM, and it would be lovely to see you again. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.